The first clue wasn't a doctor's note. It was a word. Hope. One syllable. Repeated just enough times to make people lean in and wonder if it really meant what they wanted it to mean. Or if it meant the exact opposite. If you've been watching the Indiana Fever every night, you've seen it too. Caitlin Clark running up and down an empty floor. 5-on-0, smooth strides, clean releases, just enough movement to keep the timeline buzzing. Not full contact, not 5-on-5, but movement, tantalizing, carefully released. The kind of clips that say, she's close, without anyone on the record promising a date. Fans read the tea leaves. The organization kept saying the right things about long-term health, and that one word kept floating up: hope. Here's where the questions started snowballing. People could accept the groin injury. That was public. But then an ankle tweak rumor slipped into the conversation midstream. One local report said it hadn't set her back. Another implied it had. Nothing definitive, just enough mismatch to spark suspicion. Where did the ankle come from? When did it happen? Why wasn't it spelled out? And if it didn't matter, why mention it at all? You could feel the room shift after that. It wasn't just, will she return? It was, are we being told the full story? The fever kept traveling with her. She kept showing up on the bench. She kept shooting, and fans kept hearing a careful, repeated refrain. Long-term health first. Nothing wrong with that. If anything, it's smart. But when every answer ends the same way, people wonder what's hiding between the commas. Then came the moment that pushed the speculation into overdrive. A simple media scrum, a calm face, and a matter-of-fact update from Stephanie White. Asked if Clark had gotten contact in practice, the answer was no. Mostly shooting and individual work. With a week left in the regular season, the follow-up came fast. Would she be back? The reply wrapped in that same careful language. Working hard. Long-term health is the priority. No firm timeline. Hope. That single exchange told fans two things at once. She wasn't doing full contact, and the door remained cracked. Not open, not closed, just barely cracked. The gap between what people wanted to hear and what was actually said became a canyon. And into that canyon poured a flood of theories. Let's be real about what fueled it. The W's ratings conversation has hovered like a heavy cloud. When numbers get scarce and the biggest star is suddenly day-to-day with no concrete runway, people connect dots that might not belong together. Some fans claim the league and the fever are keeping the maybe alive to keep eyeballs on games and tickets moving. Others say that's unfair, that athletes deserve caution, privacy, and time to heal, without a countdown clock breathing down their necks. Both takes can exist in the same arena. They do right now. There's also the trust gap that builds when injury reports feel vague. Every league wrestles with this, not just the W. The line between competitive secrecy and public transparency is thin. If it tilts too far toward mystery, fans feel manipulated. If it tilts too far toward openness, teams feel exposed. Get it wrong, and every "we're hopeful" starts sounding like we're hedging. But here's the tougher part. Once suspicion takes root, everything looks like a signal. If Clark runs in an empty gym, it's proof she's close. If she doesn't practice full contact, it's proof she's done. If she travels, they're selling hope. If she stays home, they're hiding something. It's a Rorschach test. Fans see what they came to see. That isn't cynicism. That's human nature in the age of clips, captions, and clockwork speculation. And while all of that swirled, White Hot Takes found new fuel in a single idea. The organization knew the truth earlier than they said, and kept the door cracked to hang on to interest. That's a heavy charge. To be fair, there's no official confirmation backing that claim. It's what fans are saying, and rumors suggest it's what some media folks quietly believe. But rumors aren't the same as receipts. This is where language matters. When the discourse is crowded with "they know" and light on "here's the proof," we need to separate what's confirmed from what's buzz. Still, perception is powerful. It sets the tone before facts do. And the perception right now is a tangle. A star who might return. A team that isn't promising it. A coach taking heat for not saying more. A league carrying a brand new media deal. And a brand old transparency problem. Mix all of that with a timeline that's almost out of sand, and you get the storm we're in. The most frustrating part for fans is that the basketball timeline and the human timeline rarely sync. You can be close enough to run, to shoot, to move with rhythm, and still be miles away from absorbing hip checks in the lane and fighting over hard screens without setbacks. Contact changes the math. Secondary injuries complicate it. And even if a return is possible, is it wise? That long-term line everyone groans at. It's annoying because it's true. Careers are longer than a week, but fandom moves day to day. That's the tension we're all staring at. Inside the Fever, the choices have been blunt. Without Clark, the offense is different. Spacing tightens. The margin for error shrinks. Kelsey Mitchell has carried nights on pure shot-making. Lexi Hull has stabilized huddles when the floor felt tilted. Aaliyah Boston keeps battling for seals, touches, and balance. It's not smoke and mirrors. There's real resilience there. But the ceiling changes when your engine is parked. Everybody knows it. Meanwhile, the reputation conversation around the franchise and Stephanie White has picked up edge. Fair or unfair, some fans now see guarded answers as proof that everything is a spin. They point to the careful phrasing, the repeated non-committals, and say it's all part of an information strategy. Others defend the staff. You don't rush a superstar back to satisfy a headline. You don't stamp a date just to look decisive. You protect the player, eat the criticism, and live with the skepticism until the season closes. There's one more layer. The public's appetite for certainty. We crave the definitive. Day-to-day is not definitive. Hope is not definitive. Mostly shooting is not definitive. And the vacuum that creates gets filled by content creators, group chats, and comment threads with megaphones. Some of those voices argue in good faith. Some chase the hottest possible version of the story. That's the world we live in. It's loud, and it doesn't apologize. If you've made it this far, quick pulse check. Do you think the Fever should have shut the door sooner with a clear, "she's done for the season"? Or do you believe keeping a return possible, even if unlikely, is the right call for the athlete? Drop your take below. I'm reading them. Midway through this saga, you could feel the fan mood harden. The benefit of the doubt started leaking away. Every time hope surfaced with no new milestone, no contact, no ramped practice, the theory that they were stringing things along spread wider. Some supporters raised the stakes, calling the organization tone-deaf, greedy, or unprepared for the weight of a true megastar. That last charge landed hardest. Not ready for the cameras, the noise, the daily dissection, the pressure to be transparent without giving opponents an edge. If that's true, it's fixable. If it's not, the perception still forces change. You can only absorb so many "what's the real story" cycles. Before you start answering different, there's also a complicated truth hiding in plain sight. The league needs its headliners healthy. That's not a secret. It's a business reality in every sport. The Rockets ride stars. The ratings follow stars. The road crowds pay for stars. When a headliner sits, interest dips. So yes, when fans say the W keeps the door open because it helps attention, that's understandable suspicion. But it can also be true that the door stays open because medical staff simply can't guarantee anything until they can. both can live in the same sentence without a conspiracy. So what would real clarity look like? First, a firm classification that evolves on a schedule fans can trust. Out X days, next check-in on Y date, update will include Z markers. For example, full contact achieved, responded well, no setbacks. Second, an injury report standard the entire league adopts. No gray, no guesswork, no region-by-region norms. Third, a cultural shift where saying, "we don't know yet," is considered honest, not weak. Right now, too many statements are written for minimal liability instead of maximum clarity. That's the opposite of fan-first communication. And then there's Caitlin herself, who has handled the spotlight with a level head since day one. People forget how hard it is to be both a lightning rod and a learning rookie, to carry nightly expectations and then sit while the conversation swirls without your voice. The patience required is enormous. The temptation to force a return is real. The discipline to resist it is rare. If the long game wins here, it'll be because the athlete kept the bigger picture in focus, while everyone else argued over this week's storyline. Let's not pretend the Fever's locker room hasn't felt all of this. Players hear the noise. They see the comments. Yet the ball still goes up, and the coverages still need solving. The identity you build in stretches like this lingers. When the star returns, whether that's days, weeks, or next season, what sticks is the standard set in her absence. Do we scrap? Do we defend without fouling? Do we keep the paint clean on second jumps? Do we trust the pass one beat sooner? That's the foundation that turns good teams into problems in April. Zoom out again. The internet loves a verdict. They lied. Or fans overreacted. Real life rarely gives you that binary. What we actually have is a timeline with imperfect information. A front office trying to juggle health and hope. A coaching staff answering the same questions with the same careful words. A league trying to manage perception in a media economy that punishes uncertainty, and a fan base that wants the simplest truth, even if it hurts. All of that can be true without malice. All of it can still be frustrating. If you want something actionable from this, take this. Ask for dates, not vibes. Ask for the next checkpoint, not the soft promise. When is the next evaluation? Is a fair question with a clear answer. Is she coming back? Invites hedges. And from the team side, give the calendar even if you can't give the outcome. Next update Friday calms more storms than we hope. Where does this leave Stephanie White? In a thankless spot, mostly. If she stakes a date and misses, she's reckless. If she refuses to stake a date, she's evasive. That's the role until the ball either bounces in a real practice, or it doesn't. The one thing she absolutely controls is tone. Crisp updates, no vague synonyms, no accidental breadcrumbs that fire up the rumor engine. Measured doesn't have to mean murky. Fans can live with bad news. They struggle with elastic news. And the ratings discourse? It's not going away. If you can't find certain numbers, people will assume the worst. The solution isn't to lecture them about context. It's to make the data easy to find and impossible to dispute. Transparency disarms hot takes faster than any press release. Own the highs, own the lows. Growth doesn't require hiding the dips. One last thing about hope. In sports, it's oxygen. It fills arenas, keeps remote controls hovering over broadcasts, and lets young fans believe this might be the night everything changes. But hope has to be honest. When it's not, it rots into resentment. The line between those two is thinner than anyone wants to admit. You keep it healthy with clear check-ins, realistic framing, and respect for people's attention. Do that, and fans forgive almost anything. Don't. And even a simple word starts sounding like a sales pitch. If you're still with me, here's your challenge. What would a perfect, fan-first injury policy look like to you? Weekly injury dashboard? Mandatory contact/no contact indicators? Comment below with 2 things you'd change tomorrow, and 1 thing the league already does right. The best takes get featured in the next upload so we can elevate solutions, not just complaints. Before we close, if you're finding value here, stories told straight, with context and accountability, hit subscribe and tap the bell. It helps more than you know, and it guarantees you don't miss the moment this saga flips from theory to fact. Here's where I land tonight. Maybe the Fever never knew for sure, and hope was exactly that. Hope. Maybe they knew earlier than we think and chose to leave the window cracked, because that's how this business works. Either way, the lesson is the same. Clarity beats mystery. Calendars beat catchphrases. And the fastest way to earn trust is to risk bad headlines with honest timelines. Caitlin Clark's career will be measured in years, not weeks. The Fever's credibility will be measured in how they handle the quiet stretches as much as the loud ones. And the league's growth will be measured by how quickly it learns that modern fans don't just watch, they audit. When the next update comes, we'll judge the facts, not the forecasts. Until then, root for health, demand clarity, and remember that sometimes the bravest answer in sports is the one nobody likes in the moment. Not yet. If you've got thoughts, I want to hear them. If you've got questions, drop them. And if you're riding with accountability over ambiguity, you're in the right place. Like, comment, and keep the conversation real. We'll see you in the next one.